Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the PTP podcast. Just Josie, welcome to you, Miss 320. How you doing today? We got Jim Bob. What's going on, Jim Bob? Jekyll and Hyde. How you doing? Good afternoon. Eric Chenault. I'm doing well, brother. How are you? I think that's it right now for the Pilled. Got over there. I know on YouTube we have Eyes Cry Not. Long time no see. How are you doing? And Zombie 5's over there. Welcome to you. Anybody over on the Twitter, the whatever the hell it's called, X? Shelbean, welcome. Welcome to everybody on the Twitter. And if anybody's on DLive, how you doing? Because I can't see your guys' chat, so just come on over to Pilled and just make an account. Just that simple. So welcome to Thursday. Today's Thursday. Hello, Jewel. Welcome. We got some interesting things today. I guess the entirety of the news cycle today is the whole Michael Cohen thing. But you know, everything is you know, speculation with the news until the day is over. So we're not going to really talk about that today. We have some other stuff to talk about. Yes, Jim Bob, you know what? I saw that story that the stock market is over 40,000 today. It does make sense. And I'm going to tell you why. He says it does not make sense. It does make sense. Because people who are putting money in the stock market, the big traders, the big companies, they're already, let's put it this way. They are already preparing for Donald Trump's presidency, who is very kind to big business. So the stocks are going to be trading on a high volume, even though we're 6 or 7 months away. They're projecting that Donald Trump is going to win and the stock market is going to do just as well as it did when he was in office. It has nothing to do with the Democrat administration or even the Republicans. This is strictly capitalism at its best. And they're projecting who's going to be running the country and be favorable to the businesses. And I think that's why that's happening. Josephine Haley, how you doing? Welcome to you. Eagle Freedom. Quiltanon, how you doing? Band Mom, welcome to you. Slaybell 72, welcome. And I agree. They won't let the stock market ever again, Quiltanon, get to the 2008 bullshit or whatever. It's just companies and individuals who are looking forward to the future, which is something that very projectable, especially when it comes to stocks. They're going to they're going to make the Democrat Party right now. Right now, the Democrat Party is panicking. It's all over the media. They're literally panicking about their candidate. It's just as simple as that. And that panic is projecting onto everything else. Christmas baby, welcome. Thank you for the phone. I think they would first trigger. Well, yeah, I mean, don't be surprised, Jim Bob, if that doesn't happen. Don't be surprised if that doesn't happen, because I think you're saying that because that's what happened. I'm trying to think, when did that happen? but it happened in the crypto. Um, when they shorted those stocks just before the 2020 election, and the stock market went just, and then right after the election, it just boomed. I think that's maybe what you have in mind, but that makes sense also. Scorprat, welcome. Welcome. Yeah, so 2008, there you go. Anyway, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. So we have, it was very difficult to find things to talk about that wasn't the Trump trial today. So we tried and got a few things that are not about Trump. And we do have a story. We have a story that has to do with John Fetterman, which is something that we don't talk about very often because, and it's the last story of the day, but people think that people don't want to talk about it, but we're going to, because there's a lot of people here. What's up, Intolerant Leftist? How you doing? There's a lot of people that struggle with stuff like this, so we're gonna have a little, watch the video and have a little chat about it at the end of the show there. Lord Mad Dog, good afternoon. How you doing? Welcome. Okay, so let's get to this first story, because remember, we talked about this a long time ago, and nobody's ever talked about it since, which I thought was pretty funny. And then it popped up on my feed on YouTube right in front of my face, and I'm like, they're still dealing with this? Never heard of it. Oh, okay, so let's watch.
It's a most unusual defense. Normally, the defense in a bribery case is they were gifts, and I didn't exercise any official levers of government power in return for the gifts. Rather,
now everybody remembers Bob Menendez, and I stopped it right on a good picture right there, where they raided his house and they found large quantities of cash and gold bars and jewelry and everything. Oh, it's a car alarm. I guess the trial is coming up, the bribery trial. And you got to listen to Judge Napolitano here, who's not a favorite of mine, but listen to what he's saying about how Bob Menendez is justifying what he did. It's hysterical.
Defense here is I didn't get any of this. It went to my wife, and I didn't know she had it. Well, what about all the cash, Senator Menendez? This is weird now, this defense. I have a fear of banks. I have a fear that the banks are going to confiscate cash. So over my entire lifetime, I've been accumulating cash and keeping it in my home. I don't know if the jury is going to accept that. Remember, the defendant is innocent until proven guilty. He doesn't have to present a defense. But the government...
What's up, Duppy? Nancy Salty Beaver, how you doing? So you have a senator, a United States senator, who... Poonslayer, what's happening? Who's afraid of banks, right? So he keeps large quantities of cash stuck in his suit jacket pockets, hanging up in his closet, and gold bars, and then blames it all on his wife. But it gets better. You would think that as a senator, you would have confidence in the banking system, since you're the one who, regulates it. But anyway, and just Josie, you're right. There's many people who don't trust banks. I agree with that 100%. My grandmother was like that. My grandmother kept all her money in her mattress, and that's legitimate, because that's where we found a bunch of money when she passed away. I agree. But most people aren't senators. Most people aren't hoarding gold bars and are accused of bribery. That's the issue here. But wait, it gets better.
Evidence is pretty strong, so strong it will force Senator Menendez, I think, to take the witness stand and offer this defense. How do you think a jury would feel when a United States senator says, it wasn't me, it was her? By the way, the her is my wife, who's not in the courtroom and who's going to be tried in September.
Yeah, the judge ruled, and leave it to Democrats. If Trump tried to pull this, I don't think Juan Merchan would allow it. But the judge ruled the defense is not allowed to put a psychiatrist on the stand who said that Menendez was stockpiling the gold bars and the cash because of, this is a quote, intergenerational trauma stemming from his family's experiences as Cuban refugees. We looked into it. Bob was born in New York. Yes. Break that down for us.
Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Duppy. My grandmother was a child of the Depression. She was born in, what was it, 98. I believe I don't even know anybody to ask about that anymore. But my grandmother was a child of the Depression. And, she wasn't like a stockpiler like most of those people were, like throwing stuff, never throwing anything away. But as far as her finances went, she always watched her finances, and you're right about that. So, I also think it's a shitty thing for Bob Menendez to throw his wife under the bus, because she's going to be tried in a separate trial, and basically he's blaming everything on her or his family that are Cuban refugees when he wasn't even a Cuban refugee. I don't know. This is just too funny to me.
Well, his attempt was to suggest that he learned from his parents who were Cuban refugees. You're right. He's born in America. His parents escaped the Cuban government. That he learned from his parents never to trust banks and never to trust the government, and always to have enough money on hand so that you can live for a long period of time. The reason the judge rejected this is not because of its absurdity, but because it's not a recognized scientific theory. See, the judge is the gatekeeper on evidence by experts. The experts can say what they want as long as it's a recognized field of expertise. But if a shrink wants to come in the courtroom and sort of make something up or argue that something is a really recognized scientific phenomenon, in this case, a mental illness, and it's not been recognized by the scientific community, the judge is not going to allow it in. So that argument.
But what you're not questioning that a U.S. senator has no faith in the United States system. That's what I would be questioning. Why are you a senator who's making policy for the United States, but you have no faith in the country? We're not Cuba. I mean, I understand your parents were Cuban refugees, but Castro ain't here, and he's not going to be taking your money out of the banks. Why isn't anybody questioning why a senator has no faith in the United States banking system, number one? Number two, that he even trusts the government. He doesn't trust the government enough to keep cash or to keep a bank account. I would be questioning his status as a senator, even before bribery and all that stuff. You can't make policy for the United States if you don't trust the country. But once again, I'm thinking logically, and those questions are coming out logically. Maybe they don't apply to this shit.
I learned this need to accumulate cash from my refugee parents is not going to be made by a shrink, but it can be made by the senator if he takes the stand.
Okay. Want to go to the Trump paperwork trial, the bookkeeping trial in Lower Manhattan, and just a refresher on how the media is portraying all this. Take a look.
There have been days where defendant Trump looked unseemly, certainly did not look relatable, looked untrustworthy. I thought today, Michael Cohen and the way they did this.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. I don't want to talk about it again. But yeah, that's something that we haven't seen or heard or anything but Bob Menendez. He's on trial for bribery from another country. And his excuse is that he doesn't trust the American banking system. Like I said, I find that very difficult. What's up, Nova X? Yes, Nova X, you're absolutely right. People stockpile food and guns and bullets and this, that, and the other thing. But most people aren't United States senators who are making policy for the country that don't trust the country. You're trusting, he's saying he doesn't trust his own government that he works for and makes policy for. That's the difference. Gambera, how you doing? Is that right? Did I say that right? Gambera? Can't see that. Yeah, Gambera. Yeah, see, that's oh, how you doing, Mayor? And GMA Merkel, welcome. GTO Mama, hello. Crazy Chuck with a capital K. How you doing? A lot of people, Wake Up. That's a name I haven't seen in 100 years. How are you doing? Most people, including myself, I'm not even going to not include myself. We have the 25-year food supply shit. We have ample amounts of water. We're prepared. We live in California. If there's a major earthquake or something happens and we can't get to the store, we have enough preparations for, I'm not going to say how long, but enough. That's normal. But if you're a United States senator, like I said, that it's making policy for the U.S. I don't know what Skeeter Burke, what's happening? Who's making policy? And I don't know what committees he sits on. I know he was part of the I can't remember the intelligence committee or something like that. If he's on the finance committee, like or something like that, and he's making policy, but has no faith in the country, slightly different. We as Americans look at our government and say, I don't trust my government. I see what my government's doing. And that includes Bob Menendez making the policy. Now, the question is, how many of them are doing it? How many of them are taking bribes in through the back door? And we're not talking about the back door like Stormy Daniels takes it through the back door. We're talking about all the envelopes that go into the mailboxes on K Street. How many other senators or House representatives don't have faith in the American system, but are making policy for it? These are the questions that I come up with that I'm saying those need to be answered. So we'll see. Hold on. What do we got going on over here? Okay. And, if it's a straight out bribery charge, okay. I'm okay with that. But don't tell me that you have no faith in the system because you're the one creating it. Uh-oh. Yes, I had to clarify backdoor. Yeah, I had to do it. What's up, Casey Snowman? I think Casey Snowman, I think the 98%, a little low. There's not one politician, not one, And if you can name one, I would be surprised. Who's not in for a lobbyist to come and do and say something to them, that have taken money from a lobbyist, that has put money into their campaigns. And so, who's that? Geneseppe's here. What's up, Geneseppe? I would be interested to see who you think is somebody that is not on the take, or taking donations or envelopes or backdoor prizes like Bob Menendez, because I don't think there's not one person who does it. So that's just my take on it. We can get. Hold on. What is that?
Donald Trump looked.
Oh yeah, we can get rid of that one. Hold on. That's right. I'll wake up. Left wing, right wing, same bird. You can't fly with just one wing. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Anyway, I find it what's up, Captain McMuffin? I find it very funny that none of the mainstream media channels, well, I guess you can call, I don't know if Newsmax is a mainstream media channel. I really don't know. yeah, that's right, Duppy. Yeah. You didn't want to be negative and say 100%. But you know what, Mr. Snowman, the truth is the truth, and we have to tell it. You know what I'm saying? I honestly can't think of anybody in Congress or in our government, either elected or unelected, that I would trust. To be perfectly honest, I can't think of one person. But yeah, that was pretty funny there, Duppy. Anyway, the next one we got going on here is the something about the presidential debate. And I don't know if I tried to download the one from TikTok because this has the little clip from Nancy Pelosi in it. But I tried to download the one from TikTok, and for some reason I couldn't do it. I don't know what happened with my thing here, but sometimes it doesn't work right, and it's not like I know how to fix it. So we're gonna watch this clip, and Nancy Pelosi is dead set against debating Donald Trump, and we know why. So let's watch this one.
Why Joe Biden is agreeing, though. There's an article in the New Republic, and it says the Democrats have a Joe Biden problem. Mm-hmm. When you look, the polls rightly calls panic among Democrats, but it also shows that the election is not a lost cause for the party, talking about the other candidates. While the numbers for Biden specifically are terrible, other Democrats are performing quite well. And they cite Nevada, which the candidate is up by 12. They cite Arizona, and they cite Pennsylvania. So essentially, there's a call behind the scenes for the Democrats to move away from Biden, and they don't mean pick a different candidate, but to focus down ballot and not Joe Biden. That's why he needed this debate to happen.
Well, in order to qualify for a debate, you have to have.
Okay, now, that's all fine. That is all fine and good. What this guy just said, that in Arizona and Nevada and all these places, that the down ballot people are doing really well. Great. And I do believe that everything's, what's up, Ranger? Everything starts at the local level. Wonderful. But if you don't control the presidency, right? The one thing that can put the laws into place, no matter what the House and the Senate says. They can pass a bill and put it on the president's desk. He don't sign it. It don't mean shit. So in the Democratic Party right now, right this minute, there's no faith in Joe Biden at all. Zero faith in Joe Biden. And they're okay with that. As long as the down ballot people are doing well, I haven't heard anything more stupid in my life. It's like when you have a Republican House and a Republican Senate with a Democratic president. What are you going to get done? Nothing. Or vice versa. What are you going to get done? Nothing. Anyway, let's continue.
You have to be on enough state ballots to win an electoral college majority, and you have to score 15% in at least 4 major national polls. RFK Jr. says he's going to meet the criteria for at least one of them before the June 20th deadline, so we'll see about that. Nancy Pelosi was asked if she thought that Joe Biden should have agreed to a debate. Listen.
I myself would never recommend going on a stage with Donald Trump, but the president has decided that's what he wants to do. I think the format he is suggesting is a good one. I think you all should have separate town hall meetings with them, let them challenge them with questions about the future, and
You see what she's saying right there? I wouldn't go on stage with Donald Trump. Right? The format that they're choosing, not having any audiences, not having the microphones turned on, all the things that everything that's not going to rattle Joe Biden. And then she comes out and says they should have, instead of debates, separate town hall meetings. Right? Because you remember, Hillary Clinton did that. And then the questions were given to Hillary Clinton and she knew all the answers to it. But in an open debate, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome. In an open debate, you have to answer the questions off the cuff. And Joe Biden is not good at that because he's like dementia ridden unless his medication is going to be, on point. But you see what she's trying to do is she's trying to go back to those times when, you can stick the earpiece in your ear, something separate to where, we just don't want to be on stage with Donald Trump. Yeah. And you know why she's doing that? Because Donald Trump is going to just say, well, look at my administration compared to yours.
let the public make its decision.
And the public is going to get the opportunity to see them, presidential candidates, even before either of them are nominated by their party. It's going to be the earliest ever. And you got to want, I heard Byron York say yesterday, with early voting, you need early debates. And he's absolutely right. But what is the plus for Joe Biden? Well, if he stumbles, there's plenty of time behind it. And apparently what the Biden camp thinks they can do is by announcing this so early and having them so early, they can jolt the American public that is not paying attention to the race. Hey, these are the two guys. You got to pick between these two guys. Okay, look at these two guys. Which do you like? And the Biden camp thinks that will force people to say, okay, I don't like Joe Biden, but I'm going to go for him.
Yeah, they think.
And that's Isaac Truth. Welcome. Happy Thursday. And that's the problem that they're dealing with right now, is they're saying, well, look at Joe Biden. The guy can't speak. He can't walk. He's shaking hands with people who aren't there. He walks around in circles. But compared to Donald Trump, yeah, I'll vote for him. It's not working that way anymore. It's not working that way. People are walking away from the Democrat Party even more now than in 2020 when this happened, when Joe Biden supposedly became president. People are walking away. And the Democrat Party is trying viciously, I should say, on social media platforms to try and get the minority vote back. And it's just not happening. It's just not happening. I don't think a debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden is going to turn around and look at people and say, "Oh, I'm just going to vote for Joe Biden, even though he's whatever." I think he's wrong on that. So
They want to remind the American public of the Trump years, and the Biden people think that's a great thing. They said because Trump is chaos. I say this. For 2.5 years, you told me he was illegitimate. You put a nonstop Russia investigation on every time they had success, some Russia allegation popped up. Can you imagine if they just leveled the playing field and just called him on his policies instead of trying to prove he was illegitimate?
And that's all that Trump has to do if the debate even happens. If the debate even happens, that's all that Trump has to do, is not bring up all the Russia shit. None of the stuff that the poor me victim crap that happened to him, and just go on the policies that he did, which made our country feared and profitable, let's put it that way, compared to what we are now. I think it's a slam dunk if the debate even happens.
Ask people at Fox, do you think the debates are important? 41% said extremely important, 23% said very important. And I'll add one more thing to the fray. As I brought up, the problem I have with this format are the moderators. They despise Trump.
Partisans.
They're nonstop partisans. It doesn't mean they're not bright. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean they're not good at their job. But they have a bias against one candidate. They should be eliminated. Is there anyone there non-biased? And number two is you can't kill their mics. I don't want to see two guys speaking. We get that all the time. We need, the whole point of this is the interaction.
Right.
And if you're going to, then it's going to put all the pressure on them.
Jim Bob, that's a great that is a great statement. Trump gets convicted, then Biden refuses to lower the office of the president by debating a felon. I think I said this a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. I don't know. Everything blends together for me. So if Trump gets convicted, it's going to get turned around on appeal very fast, because an appeal judge is not the same judge as the conviction judge, right? So the credibility that Donald Trump is now a convicted felon is just going to go through the roof. It's because he's now, look at what happened when he got arrested with the mugshot. People buying T-shirts with Donald Trump's mugshot. I mean, look at what happened there. I think him being convicted would there's no way that they're going to convict him, because it would just bring his street cred up to unprecedented levels. And on appeal, it would get turned over on appeal so quick they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. I'm just saying. But I don't even think that Biden's going to make it to the convention. And that's only a couple of months away. So the debate's happening. I find it even harder to believe, but that was a good statement though.
Moderators. So you'll have Donald Trump will say I had the best economy ever. Well, not according to the numbers. Next question. You know, those throwaway lines at the end that moderators always do when they don't like what.
And to that point, Brian, I also would just like to see the questions asked. Just ask the questions. Mm-hmm. The getting involved in the debate process, I think is going to leave a bad taste in the American public. And I think that's how they put their thumb on the scale when they start getting involved. Let the candidates duke it out. I think also a positive for Donald Trump is that there's not going to be a crowd there. He's an entertainer. So he plays to the crowd. Yeah. He likes to cheer, and this is what he's done his whole life. Not having people there, I think, will calm him down.
Which a lot of critics have been critical of Joe Biden for that reason, because they're saying Donald Trump feeds off the crowd. Yep. Joe Biden didn't want a crowd. And Donald Trump, I agree, it's television. You want it to be entertaining. And if you can't hear their responses, because if Joe Biden answers a question, Donald Trump might say, liar or whatever, like you want to hear that.
Right. That's
you want
in
it
his
to be
personality.
entertaining.
Well, we just put up the rules, and one of them was they cut the mics only after the time is up. So there's a possibility, you would imagine, that if during Joe Biden's time Donald Trump interrupts him, you would think that would be played. It's just after, okay, everybody's got 1 minute. I feel sorry for the audio guy. He's got to, not only does he have to figure out which volume control, but then he's got to have a stopwatch. Time's up. Boom. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Me personally, I think that not having an audience is going to play better for Donald Trump than Joe Biden. Because now Joe Biden is not going to have the distraction of Donald Trump being the entertainer, like they just said, that he is, playing off the audience. That may reset Trump just to come back to policy and not have to worry about the reaction from the audience, because there is no audience. Let's just get to brass knuckle facts right here. That may be an advantage that the Democrats, that if there's going to be a debate, haven't thought about yet.
It's also Donald Trump, I think, to his advantage to let Joe Biden talk.
Yeah, just let him go.
Because he talks in circles.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I, like I said, I'm not even sure that there's going to be a debate. So Donald Trump saying that he will debate him anywhere, anytime, any place, yada, 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 forced them to accept. And then when Joe Biden came out and said, "Oh, I'll debate him. I'll debate him twice," they forced it to happen. Like I said, I would be one of the ones who would live stream that, because I would love to hang out with a bunch of people and just get their reactions to what's going on. I usually don't live stream stuff like that. There's a lot of other people who do, and that's their thing. But that may be something to think about, live streaming. That and the Jake Paul fight is something that I may live stream that too. So I don't know. What happened to all those early Biden voters if they pull him in Chicago? That's a great question. What's up, titties and beard? That's a great question, because does early voting start before the convention? Because they have to print up all the ballots and print up all the, all the stuff to mail out to people. What would happen? Anybody can answer, because I have no idea, because that's a great question. I don't even know who that was who said that question. What was her name? Nas Punnut. Nas Punnut. Welcome. Thank you. Joe Biden gets to the convention, and Duppy, cover your ears. Just cover your ears for this. Joe Biden gets to the convention, and he doesn't get the nomination, and they nominate Mike Obama as the Democrat candidate. There will be a second debate with a different Democrat nominee. Impeach them all. How you doing? Nothing, GMO. It does nothing. And that's the whole thing. They want to, if it does happen, they want to keep it short. So Joe Biden doesn't, like he said, talk in circles. But Donald Trump hasn't even been declared the official Republican nominee yet. And either has Joe Biden. They won their primaries. They're projected. But like you said, anything can happen at the convention. And I believe a while ago, and Duppy, you can maybe confirm this, we were on a different show talking to T.N. Homesteader, and he said the same thing about the convention, that once the convention happens, everything can be changed in one night, in one setting there. So, is considering a partially virtual convention. Because of the protests, I heard about that, Jim Bob. But still, you have to get the right amount of stuff at the convention in order to get the nomination, and it could be an issue. It could be an issue because I remember, like I said, T.N. Homesteader saying a long time ago that whatever's going to happen is going to happen at the convention. So about the ballots and the early voting, I don't know how that works. I really don't. But I would tend to think that they would, I would tend to think that they would wait till after they were officially nominated to put them on the ballot. But I can't tell. I don't know. But that was a great question. Anyway, the convention will be a sausage party. Yeah. Okay. And this is what it is. This is what politics is about. Remember, we used to be able to see, we weren't able to see the ins and outs and ups and downs and all this stuff because we didn't have the internet, a while ago. And now because we have the internet, we see it. We see the internal structure of how politics works. And it's even more confusing now than it was before, because before we just accepted it. That's what I was saying, that we all had a discussion about that at one time, Duppy, about what was going to happen at the convention. But you keep insisting that it's going to be Michelle Obama, and I don't think it's going to be. You keep sending me pictures of Michelle Obama. It just scares the shit out of me. But no, I mean, I know that you guys, we all shared the same thing, the same view. Like I said, now that we see the intricacies of how politics works, it's very difficult to judge left and right and up and down. But we'll get there. That's exactly what we're talking about, Jim Bob, because they can swing it in any direction. And you have Joe Biden, who they don't want for another 4 years. Who knows if he's going to make it another 4 years as president? And then what? You got Kamala Harris, a dope extraordinaire. Kim Jong-un would send fucking rockets over here, UPS. I'm just saying. Anyway, before we get to the next thing going on here, I need to remind everybody over on the X, on the YouTube, and the D Live. Absolutely, Duppy. I agree with that. Way too much fun. On the D Live, go down in the bio, click the link for pill.net. All you guys, Shellbean, Eyes Cry Not, GMO Merkel, and there's a bunch of other people over there on YouTube that need to get over to the Pilled in case YouTube takes me off again, which is more likely going to happen. So I want to hang out with you guys. You've been with me a long time over there on YouTube. And I would like to see you over on Pilled. That would be great. Also, a reminder for tonight. Thursday night throwdown. Mad Hat One, how you doing? Thursday night throwdown. We're going to have a huge panel show tonight. We're going to have Mr. Spaz, who's always fun to have on. And we're going to have Warrior in the Garden. We're going to have more than likely Salty Nuts. come on. And then we're going to open it up to whoever wants to come up. So I'll throw a link in the chat on Pilled. You click the link, you get into the thing, and you talk to us about what you want to talk about. It's an open panel show with mostly politics, blah, blah, blah. You guys know how it worked. We did it for the last couple of Thursdays, and everybody really liked it. So we called it, we named it, and now it's an official show at 6 p.m. Tell them to hang with the cool kids. That's right, Skeeter Burke. You got to come over there. You got to come over to Pilled and hang with the cool guys. All you YouTubers and Xers and D-livers. Because this is where this is the place to be, as Severe Anand says. Welcome to the place to be. Is over on Pilled.net. So, Par 5, good day. So yeah, that's tonight at 6 o'clock. And we also have another special guest coming on. Somebody I haven't had on my show, I can say at least over a year. More than that, probably. Will be here tonight. So we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk politics. We're going to open the panel to anybody who wants to come up that has questions. And we're just going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time. So, and let me thank everybody for all the red pills and the gold pills over on Pilled. Your stuff keeps this show running, keeps the lights on, keeps the fedoras looking good. You know what I'm saying? Your guys' support helps everything. And you guys over on the YouTube, if you want to donate to the show, go to the Cash App, the Venmo, have a good time. Send me some Cash Apps. I can always use it. Cloud Hub is okay too, but we have better dad jokes. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't want to stream to too many places, but yeah. So let's enough with the advertising. But yeah, Thursday night throwdown, boom. Open, basically an open panel show with a lot of guests. So I think I can have up to 10 guests now, 10 or 12. I don't know. We'll see. So let's get to the next story that we got going. Of course, the day would not be complete unless we had the Ferret and the Cyclops on.
Because Russia is once again using disinformation videos to smear President Biden ahead of the November election. The New York Times highlights one video circulating on social media claiming to tell the story of an internet troll farm in Kyiv targeting the American election.
Nova X, I'm sorry, there won't be any refreshments unless you bring your own beer. It's BYOB or BYOR. Bring your own refreshments because we just don't supply them.
A woman, quote, offers a first-person account of how she and her colleagues initially worked in support of President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. Then, she says, after a visit by mysterious Americans who were, quote, probably CIA, the group began sending messages to American audiences in support of President Biden. We were told our new target was the United States of America, especially the upcoming elections, the woman in the video says. Long story short, we were asked to do everything to prevent Donald Trump from winning the elections. The Times notes the video.
Now, hold on a second. Just time out for a second. I thought, correct me if I'm wrong here. Putin and Donald Trump are best friends. From what they discussed with us, best friend. Why would the Russians try and prevent Donald Trump from becoming president? And they want Joe Biden, but that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Is fake, part of an effort to cloud the political debate ahead of the U.S. elections. U.S. officials tell the paper the video is consistent with Russian disinformation operations as internet warriors aligned with Russia appear to be honing their strategy, and such videos were one of the most immediate threats. According to the Times, Russian operatives are leaning into videos, many of them that falsely purport to be made by independent journalists or whistleblowers. The videos opposed to blog or social media posts are most likely to spread beyond the conspiratorial fringes of America and become part of mainstream discourse.
You know, Tom, one of the more maddening things that you will see.
This is the same. I picked this particularly because this is the same thing that they did during the 2016 election, during the 2020 election, the 2022 midterms. Oh man.
Out there, people talking about the Russian hoax. They keep talking about the Russian hoax. The Russians never tried to influence our elections. It's all, this, that, or the other. You actually have the chairman of the House GOP Armed Services Committee, Intel Committee, and Foreign Affairs Committee all saying that Russian disinformation is being spread on the House floor by Republican members. And here we have more reporting of what's never really stopped, and that is Vladimir Putin and Russia trying to help Donald Trump get elected again. I mean, hoax? There is no hoax. The propaganda is going not only on media sources now, Putin has now figured out a way to use House GOP members to spread Russia's lies.
And in part,
which House GOP members? Right? You can say that. House GOP members. Which ones? What lies are you talking about? Right? That's the beauty of mass media. You could just throw something out there and you don't even have to have anything to back it up. The Russians are using House members to spread propaganda for Donald Trump. Who? Let's see if they answer the question.
The Americans, the American public is a willing accomplice here, because when this stuff shows up on the internet or on Facebook or YouTube or wherever people get it, when I'm asked what can they do about this, I say stop getting your news there. It's kind of like eating junk food all day. There's a really simple answer to that. Stop eating, stop having milkshakes for breakfast. And people don't want to do that, because one thing the Russians really understand about us is that Americans are easily bored and we love a good story. We love this stuff. We eat it up. The Republicans in Congress, I think, know exactly what they're doing because it's convenient to them and it gives them a good narrative to say, the classic, well, I'm just asking questions kind of pose. And I think that, it's just ready-made kind of convenient propaganda for them. But in the end, the problem with the Russian attack on America is how much the Americans really do welcome it, and that because we have an open system of government, because we have a free press, we're sort of defenseless against stopping any of it. And it has to be on each one of us to just decide we're not going to get our information there. And I just don't have a lot of hope that.
Yeah, accomplices. All the American people are the accomplices, right? You still haven't named anybody in Congress that's a Russian spy. Okay. Is like who's spying for the Russians in the House? Just throw the broad thing out there. Russians are disinformation in Congress and nothing. Absolutely no information at all. Blame it on the American people because we're too stupid because we look at the internet.
that's going to happen.
That's what
So, Jen, you sadly know a thing or two about the impact of Russian disinformation campaigns back in 2016. We had Senator Warner from Virginia on the show this week saying he's more worried about foreign election interference this time around, even than in 2020. He thinks we're less prepared. It's not just going to be Russia, it could be China, other places as well. What would the advice be to the Biden campaign? How can they learn from this? How can they combat this?
The hardest thing that we had to combat in 2016 was no one believed us, right? Like when we would say, even after there had been reporting on what Russia was doing in the Post, and we would go to the press and say, we think a lot of this is coming from Russia. And it was just so fantastic for everyone that they couldn't really, they couldn't appreciate that that's what was really happening. And now people do know that.
Hey,
so I
Jen,
think it's a lot easier to,
So, but what they're not telling us here, and I don't know if you're catching that or not, is that who is Russia trying? Are they trying to get Donald Trump elected or get Joe Biden elected? Because under Donald Trump, there was no invasion of Ukraine. There was none of that shit under Donald Trump, because Donald Trump told Vladimir Putin none of that shit's going to happen. We have to defend Ukraine, and if you want to invade Ukraine, let me work on NATO first. That was an agreement or a discussion that they had. So during Trump's presidency, he did not invade Ukraine. As soon as Biden gets in there, the Russians are pouring over the border. Why? Why would the Russians want Donald Trump in office? If Donald Trump says on the campaign trail, I'll put a stop to the Ukraine war right now. I'll stop the killing. So which one is it? Which propaganda should we follow? They want Trump or they don't want Trump? They're going to put disinformation for Biden or disinformation for Trump. We don't know. All we know is that the Russians.
Can I read this for you? And then you continue?
Yeah.
It's not just the Washington Post. The GOP Senate Intel report that was run by Marco Rubio. They wrote this in 2017. The report's language often starts describing Trump's campaign chairman Manafort's receptivity to Russian outreach as, quote, a grave counterintelligence threat that made the campaign susceptible to malign Russian influence. Marco Rubio's committee said Russia presented a grave counterintelligence threat. That was Marco Rubio and the Republicans. And yet people still want to write op-eds on the Wall Street Journal editorial page talking about Russia hoax. Marco Rubio talked about Russia presented.
But if I'm WD-40, what's going on? Yeah, 2.0, exactly. If I'm not mistaken, and like I said, always if I'm mistaken, correct me, because you all do. Wasn't the Russia Trump thing debunked? Right? The Mueller investigation and the FBI and all those people said that none of that shit was influenced by Donald Trump, that Donald Trump didn't do anything with Russia and so on and so forth. He didn't get peed on in some Russian hotel. That was probably Mike Pence, allegedly. I don't know. But all of that shit got debunked. The dossier, the whole thing got debunked. It was proven wrong by Democrat prosecutors and investigators and all that bullshit. Why are we bringing it back up?
By this disinformation, let me say it again, quote, a grave counterintelligence threat.
And they had, in 16, we had the Post did a good story in June of 16 to say where they thought a lot of this was coming from, U.S. administration officials on background. And of course, on October 7th, 2016, we had the declaration from the Obama administration that Russia was behind the hacks. We later had an intelligence estimate that it was not just the Russians behind this, but trying to help Donald Trump win. That was all during the Obama administration. But it was too fantastic for people to appreciate. And now we've had 8 years of this.
And it is, and I think at least, even though it's more widespread, when you say you can't trust that it's right, it could be from the Russians, at least people understand now that's something that they got to look out for. And I think you just have to call out lies immediately and right away and point them out to people.
But who determines what's a lie and what's not? How do we know? Well, you said counterintelligence, right? How do we know that it's not you doing the counterintelligence? That it's not you putting out the information on the internet and saying that this is Russian disinformation and you're to believe us because we're the American media. You see, the time that the American people flip the television on or the internet on and believe everything they hear is over. It's a done deal. We don't do that no more. We have resources at our fingertips that are infinite. With our phones, we don't even have to be in front of a home computer. We can see everything. So we have to ask the question, and this is why this is so important. Who is putting out the disinformation? Who are the ones who are writing the op-eds and who are saying it's the Republicans? The Republicans are shilling for Putin on the House floor, but you can't name any of the Republicans. 6%. How you doing? Welcome. Road Dog. I'm gonna agree with you. The CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, is no longer a foreign only operation. They don't only operate on foreign soil anymore. I wholeheartedly believe that these are the people who are creating the shit that's going on. And then they put all of these gooftards on the mainstream media, on MSNBC, and have people freak out about everything. Oh my God, the Russians. Titties and beer with the cookie. So 2016 Russian interference, 2020 most secure in history, but now 2024 Russia is going to interfere again. Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about, because all of the Russian shit was debunked before the 2020 election. How soon before Hillary Clinton pops up and says, "Oh, look, I found another dossier." You know what I'm saying? Thank you for the cookie. Cookies! Let's continue to see this shit.
And people have to be better judges of what they're reading.
That's a lot to ask for.
It is.
So, Eddie, people have to be aware of this. We just listened to Jen's tale, which is actually factual. It actually happened. It actually impacted a presidential election. And it's not just Russia now.
There's no proof, and there hasn't been any proof, that Russian disinformation impacted any election. None. What is this guy talking about that it impacted an election? Is he talking about 2016 when they elected Donald Trump? Or is he talking about 2020 when they elected Joe Biden? Maybe he'll tell us.
There's a tsunami of misinformation out there. Russia, China, various other countries, all aimed at our increasingly fragile democracy. Right. So part of what you do for a living is teach. And part of what you teach is the history of this country, of race in this country, of the culture of this country today. This is a potential lethal threat to our country.
Absolutely. In so many ways, people are kind of post-fact in some ways. They want to affirm their opinions. And in some ways, this is also echoing something Tom said, right? That America's appetite for this drives it. That, stop drinking milkshakes for breakfast, although some of us like milkshakes for breakfast.
Smoothies.
What makes it successful is that it's actually tapping into a set of positions and beliefs that many Americans hold, and then they're exploiting it and amplifying it. And so one of the questions we have to ask ourselves.
Hold on. Before you ask yourself that question, you should ask yourself this question. How many Americans truly believe that we have such a fragile democracy. Within the last 5 years, how many Americans are really concentrating on our fragile democracy that's going to be interfered with by the Russians and the Chinese? Or are we trying to survive in this economy that we're living on, that we're living in here every day, putting gas in our car, food in our refrigerator, and a roof over our head? Is that what the fragile democracy you're talking about? Is that what you're going to ask yourself? What's up, Stacks? Let's see.
It's not only are they hacking and doing the kind of concrete work, why is it so effective? How are they exploiting?
Eddie, they don't have to anymore. All they have to do is get the information on the Chinese Communist Party's app, which of course is TikTok. The Chinese Communist Party runs that app. They make sure that the algorithms are run in a way that spreads disinformation into America. If you don't believe it, talk about the Uyghurs. Talk about human suffering in Hong Kong. Talk about human rights abuses in China, and see how much of a pickup that gets on TikTok. They kill it. But if you spread disinformation...
TikTok. There it is again. Reggie, thank you for the shades.
You see, I take these glasses off. She looks like a regular person, doesn't she, huh? Put them back on, formaldehyde face.
And we're talking about Mika Brzezinski right there. Thank you so much. Welcome to you. Appreciate it. So the biggest threat, I'm going to tell you right now, the question that guy asked himself had nothing to do with anything. The biggest threat right now is a social media app called TikTok. Because supposedly TikTok is Chinese disinformation. All of the cat videos, all of the stupid dog videos, and everybody who's making money on the TikTok shop. Oh my God. Let me tell you about the TikTok shop. You can go on there and you can buy whatever. That's what's going to take down our fragile democracy. Let's see. What is unsaid by these downs is that their complaint that no one is listening to us anymore. That's the absolute truth, Jim Bob. That is the absolute truth. Because like I said earlier, we, the fragile democracy people, that's us, by the way, we have the means to debunk your bullshit in real time. In real time. While we're watching this, we can pause live TV, fact check through 100 different websites, and see if you're telling the truth or not, and then unpause it. And once we find out enough, all of the fragile democracy people find out enough, we're tuning out. We're not listening to you anymore. And just like that, that's where all the disinformation comes in. That's where all the problems start. Because like Mika Brzezinski said a long time ago, they need to listen to us. What are you talking about? We're the ones who make up the news.
Information about Joe Biden? Oh, Russian disinformation? Oh, you've got the Russians and the communist Chinese running roughshod across America, and everybody's against it except Donald Trump, who now...
So during Donald Trump's administration, was the Russians and the Chinese running roughshod over America? That's a great question. Somebody should ask that. Or is it during the Biden administration that the Chinese and the Russians are running roughshod over everything? Not Donald Trump. Remember, during Donald Trump's administration, there was no invasion of Taiwan. It was only after the 2020 election, when Joe Biden was projected the winner, that China even thought about going into Hong Kong. It was during the transition that the Chinese government put their own people in Hong Kong. Remember that. That was on the Biden watch, not on the Trump watch. And they never even considered going near Taiwan until Joe Biden was elected. The Russians did not go anywhere near Ukraine until Joe Biden was elected. So either you're a retard or you just suck up these people's propaganda like nothing, I don't know what.
Supports TikTok.
Right, for his own interest, right? So I think that all makes sense to me, Joe. And part of what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is the way and why it's effective. It's effective, of course, for all the reasons you've just laid out, but it's also exploiting extant divisions, right? There's a kind of dispositional orientation to the misinformation that allows it to take root. And I think, how do we address both ends of it? That's what the Russians and the Chinese are doing and what we are susceptible to, if that makes sense.
So does it sound like, and I don't know if you, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, they're setting up a Joe Biden failure. Whatever that failure is going to be, they're already setting it up 7 months out. Because this is not the first time that we've heard this, right? Joe Biden fails. Is it because of Russian disinformation? Because of Chinese interference? Oh, I think so. I think so. That could be what's going on here.
You know, there's so much stupidity out there that is peddled by people. Two great examples. There's a guy that used to be in Mumford and Sons who debated at the Oxford Union, debated Nancy Pelosi, and when he got pushed into a corner, he just talked about Joe Biden's severe dementia. That he's has such severe dementia he can, hardly operate. It's a lie. It's a complete, total lie. And yet that's pushed, and it's pushed by these third parties. I mean, and you have.
How do we know it's a lie? How do we know it's a lie that Joe Biden doesn't have a form of dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever you want to call it? The guy's 82 years old. Shit happens. Trust me, I know. 82. We don't know what his health status is because nobody will tell us. What we can do is we can see when he goes and makes speeches that are few and far between, or when he talks to people. And when you talk to somebody who's had, say, Alzheimer's or dementia, it's the same reaction. So for whoever Nancy Pelosi debated, whatever that guy's name was, for him to say that Joe Biden could be possibly diagnosed with dementia is not a far off thing to say. It's not something that's being, derogatory. That's just the way that people that know people with dementia can see the signs. Just saying. But if you're Joe Scarborough,
other lies about how great Russia is. Tucker Carlson running around saying, "Oh my God, look at the grocery! It's a worker's paradise." He seriously sounded like a guy who defected to the Soviet Union in '62, and he pushes that, he peddles that Russian disinformation actively.
Yep.
Yeah, and giving it.
And the funny thing is, and I think this is really funny, is that these people try and make Russia sound like it's they got Gestapos on the street. Like you can't, there's no grocery stores, there's no nothing like North Korea. Like Putin walks around with an iron fist, and Russia's a very open society. Right? They're not communist anymore. But there's no bullshit going on there. It's just like when we go to the grocery store, they go to the grocery store. But these two fucking troglodytes over here want you to think that Russia is like North Korea. And it's just not the case. And the only way that they can survive is to interfere with US elections, which is not the case. That's why I find this hysterically funny to watch.
A large platform, not as large as it used to have on cable, but still does. Aaron Rodgers drafted to that mission this week. And we should note, where's Vladimir Putin today? He's in Beijing. He's meeting with Xi Jinping. I mean, this is sort of the alliance that's against democracies. And we don't know if this is a topic of conversation, but certainly their greater interests are making the United States as weak as possible.
Making the United States as weak as possible. Well, who's doing that? It's not Vladimir Putin, and it's not Xi Jinping. Whoever's making the United States weak is the leader of the country. The leader of the country is making the United States weak, not the Russians or the Chinese. Where do you get that from? Yeah, exactly, impeach them all. They're not the USSR anymore, right? It's just not the case. And I know what he's talking about because I saw the thing that Tucker Carlson did on Russian shit, and he was showing how it's just like our society. It's just like American society. As a matter of fact, they have better rules than we have in some cases. Don't get me wrong, Vladimir Putin is still a thug. He's still old school KGB. That'll never change. But as far as society goes in Russia, it's not the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic anymore. And that these people are trying to convince you that that's what they're trying to make the United States. And it's just not the case. I don't shill for anybody, never, especially the Russians or the Chinese or whatever. The Chinese, I think, should be put down. And what I mean by that is that we should economically strangle the Chinese. Trump was doing it with the tariffs. As soon as Joe Biden took over office, all those tariffs came off. Now that he's running for president, in his campaign, he's putting more tariffs on China because I don't know why. I can't tell you why. Maybe to look good, whatever. But Donald Trump was right when he said that he was strangling Iran. Joe Biden came into office. Iran all of a sudden is now launching missiles into Israel. The whole October 7th thing blew up the Middle East again. The military-industrial complex is in full swing. You got the UN, you got NATO, you got this, you got that. All the players are in place now. So what we need to do is throw Russia and China in the mix. And that's exactly what our mainstream media does. And then nobody's falling for it. Like Jim Bob says, no, we're not listening to you anymore. Because we can ascertain everything that you say in real time. So nobody's listening to you anymore. So they're going to have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing in order to try and convince the people that the Russians are going to interfere again. It's a crock of bullshit, but it's worth showing because then it alerts you guys to what these people are saying. What is it? Now we'll have a chance to slap each other with fish. What the hell does that mean? Holy shit. Anyway, so we are far closer to being the USSR with all these proposed limitations on free speech. Oh, that's absolutely true. Impeach them all. And I don't think personally that that whole thing about the anti-Semitic bullshit that you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't speak out about trans people. It's hate speech. No. I'm sorry. I have the absolute right under the Constitution of this country, until that Constitution is destroyed, to freedom of speech. The government is not going to tell me what I can and can't say about anything. Now, that doesn't apply to private people, right? Like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or anything else that people are private corporations that want to censor you. That happens. Everybody knows that happened because a lot of people who are on pilled are there because they got everything they had wiped out because of the corporations. But the government's not going to tell me what I can say and what I can't, because that Constitution gives me the right of freedom of speech and freedom of press and freedom to assemble peaceably. You see, that's where everybody is making their mistakes. They're making their mistakes because you can make all the laws you want, but you can't shut me up. I can go stand outside the front of my house on a soapbox and spew the same stuff that I'm spewing right here until you take me down and arrest me. I mean, I physically can't do that right now, but I mean, that's not what we're talking about. But yeah. And for me to come out and talk about Russian disinformation or Chinese disinformation and all this stuff and everything that they're talking about, they can't name one name of who in Congress is doing any of this stuff. But yet we're to believe everything that they're saying about all this disinformation and all this misinformation and all this stuff, because they are the ones who are not in control anymore. We, us, YouTube, everybody who's listening to me and everybody else, we're the ones in control. And they can't stand it. So they're throwing out the propaganda. And that's why we got to show it. We got to show it. Uh-oh. I'm a hunting pecker. That's such a true statement. That's a great thing to say, Skeeterberg. That's the truth. So we got one more story to go through, and this one has to do with John Fetterman. Who, hey, 30-something media, how you doing? Welcome. John Fetterman, we all know that, he had a massive stroke and somehow, some way in Pennsylvania became a friggin' senator. I don't know how, but he's talking about an issue here that he had to deal with. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are dealing with issues like this. And like I said in the beginning of the show, they're dealing with the issues, but they don't want to let anybody know because they don't want to project weakness. Let's listen. Let's watch this, and we can talk about it a little bit because there's a lot of things, a lot of interesting things in here that Let's just watch. Let's watch.
All right, welcome back to CNN This Morning. Millions of Americans suffer from major depression each year, and 1 in 5 are struggling with a mental health issue. This month, May, is Mental Health Awareness Month, and our next guest, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, using his platform to introduce legislation to try to establish a commission on mental health in the Senate. The goal is to expand access and affordability for mental health services, something that the senator understands himself. Last year, Fetterman checked himself into a hospital for treatment for depression. Here's what he told CBS about that experience.
The whole thing about depression is that objectively, you may have won, but depression can absolutely convince you that you actually lost. And that's exactly what happened. And that was the start of a downward spiral. I had stopped leaving my bed. I've stopped eating, dropping weight. I stopped engaging some of the most things that I love in my life.
All right, Democratic Senator John Fetterman joins me on set now. Senator, very nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's great to be here, yeah.
You're doing this with Senator Tina Smith, who also came forward and talked about her.
And you notice that he's gotten a lot better with his speech. And we're not looking at John Fetterman right now as the candidate, the gooftard that he really is. What I'm playing this for is for what he's bringing to awareness, because there's a lot of people and a lot of things that are affected by this. So the reason I'm playing this is because of the message that he's putting out there and the bill he's putting out there, not about who he is. So, I mean, I could see everybody in the chat, saying what they're saying and blah, 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 blah. I understand it. But this is the message, that's kind of important, because the United States, like a lot of other countries, don't have a lot of stuff, a lot of facilities, let's put it that way, because they were all taken out during the when, to help people like this, right? So let's just listen to what he has to say.
Own struggles with mental health. How do you think what you're planning would help others? And it's something that people still seem to feel the need to keep to themselves a lot of the time. And you have really set an example in talking about it. How has that changed your life, and how do you hope it will change other people's lives?
Yeah, well, we want to make it a national conversation as well, and it's got to be bipartisan, because it is. Now, it's not just a red county or a blue county kind of. It's for everybody, and if it's not you, it's probably someone that you know or you love or you work with or whatever that needs that kind of a conversation. And just yesterday, I had 2 student groups visiting in my office, and 2 people referred. They're like, yeah, your conversation last year helped me, and I decided to get help in that. And that's the reason why that's why I'm happy to be here today, to just say, hey, we have to normalize that, and it's okay to have those feelings, but it's really important to go out and get help.
Do you think some of this is generational? You're honestly one of the younger members of the Senate, an august body though it may be.
Yeah, well, young doesn't really, it's very relative in our town. But I will say,
Quiltanon, I saw what you put in there about big pharma and they're pushing drugs, and to tell you the honest to God's truth, when it comes to your mental health, they, at least in my experience over the last several months, they didn't push any drugs. They pushed other things that let's just put it this way. It could be different, but in my case, they didn't. Eyes wide open. What's going on? You're over here now. Cool. Drugs weren't pushed. As far as like, we'll talk about it afterwards.
That it's an important conversation. And when I first signed into Walter Reed, I thought this could be possibly the end of my career on that, or it'd be very damaging. But after that, I got very lucky. I was able to get help and was able to get better. So I wanted to pay it forward, and I wanted to take that platform that I have to talk about it for everybody. And whether it's a judge in Texas, she visited and she said, hey, it was your conversation. I got getting help. And I've met people regularly and hear that. So it's a national conversation, and I'm just grateful to be here today, because a little over a year ago, I emerged from Walter Reed, and I'm going to be talking about this.
So One of the things that can be really challenging for people who are trying to address this is insurance coverage. It's hard to get for mental health challenges. How would what you're doing today try to help that?
It must be so difficult. I was very fortunate. I was able to turn to Walter Reed, and of course that's not going to be a lot of people. But we need to expand those resources, and also it must be pretty hard to, even if you have insurance for that, it's to get on the docket for a therapist to talk to people as well. So I think we really need to address all this again, and that's why having it in a national perspective, not just a state one or a local. I think we need to make sure that is part of health overall, so it's not separate mental health and physical health. It's all just part of overall health.
So, Senator, we had some news earlier in the show about Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey, who is now on trial, and we're learning that.
So he was missing yesterday, and then I remember, so he was at a trial.
Panel's sitting here laughing as well. They see the defense seems to be saying that his wife was doing these things without his knowledge. Your reaction?
Yeah, no, he was wondering, how could I be more sleazy? It's like, I can blame the wife.
Okay, so that they're talking about Bob Menendez now, but the bill that he introduced, it's bipartisan bill, which we have to remember, and this is a sensitive subject to talk about, because there's a lot of people, like I said, who don't want to admit that they're depressed or that they have some kind of issue or something like that. I mean, it's not like a lot of people have a lot of problems. I mean, a lot of people do, and there are certain people, like Quiltanon said, that want to push whatever the newest drug is on you. But I think it's something that we haven't seen in our Congress in a long time. And for John Fetterman, to come out and say this, I think was probably one of the better things. For a lot of senseless shootings, mass killings, is psychotropic drugs. Exactly. Jim Bob, I'm not going to argue with you. But like I said, in my personal situation, where I was diagnosed with a terminal disease, that I'm getting treatment for. Hopefully I get past it. I was in the hospital for months, laying in a bed, looking at the drab walls of this hospital room with curtains around me, and I couldn't look outside. I couldn't get up. I couldn't walk. I can barely make it to the bathroom. You get depressed. I ain't even going to friggin' lie, right? I'm not even going to lie. You get depressed. Luckily, I had people to talk to. People who understood what I was going through. And didn't say, well, here's an antidepressant, take this. Or here's this, take this. Right? Absolutely, Jim Bob. I had people sit and talk to me and discuss my mental status of how I'm handling all of this. And I told all of you guys, I've been to dark places. I've been to dark places because I have a terminal disease. People know, people understand. And the mental health of that doesn't only affect me, it affects everybody around me, right? It affects everybody around me. And the more that I am in control of that mental state, it makes people more confident in what's going on. Could you imagine, Duppy? I'd definitely be on drugs then. But the bringing up of just the issue of, especially in today's society, what all the information that gets thrown out at us, and the whole people with identity problems, people with, I'm a man, I think I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I think I'm a chicken, I'm a chicken, I think I'm a goat. These people, they need help. They need help. They don't need drugs. They need to figure out what the hell is going on. And facilities and care for people like that is important. And our healthcare system is the fucked up part. Doesn't want to pay for mental health issues. That's the messed up part. You really have to get them to do stuff like that. To get you to go to somebody to talk to work your issues out, so on and so forth. It's not just take a pill. Or at least it shouldn't be. And I'm glad that this Republican and Fetterman are getting together and bringing awareness to it. Yes, absolutely, Henry 4570. I totally agree. And that's something that you have to come to terms with, right? That's something that you have to come to terms with. We're the only species on the planet that is aware of our mortality, right? So we all know that one day we're going to die. It's just how are we going to die? And that's sometimes people, they dwell on that shit. They dwell on it. And it makes them go to weird places in their head. And like I said, there's not very many places to go in order to get help, to talk to people. Fortunately for me, I had people to talk to. I had a psychologist who came and visited me, sometimes twice a week, and stayed there for a half hour, and we talked about stuff. I had staff in the hospital talk to me. Mrs. PTP is getting me through more shit than you can imagine. But I think it's good to be aware of, especially in today's political climate, of what's going on and how it's affecting you up here, and your mental acuity of what the situation is. Yeah, Henry 4570. I'm sure a lot of people are, but once you accept the fact that it's going to happen, things get a lot easier. Things do get a lot easier. It took me a while, but I accept what I have. I accept what's going to happen. And right now I'm doing the best of my ability to continue the quality of my life that I have until that time comes. And I'll do everything I can to prolong it as much as possible. But I'm not going to lie. The last thing I'm going to do is lie to everybody and say, oh, everything is cool. It's not. Up here, sometimes I go a little weird, because it's like, okay, it's going to happen, and I worry about who I'm going to leave behind. That's just the way that it is, that people think. You can't shut your mind off unless you start taking all kinds of psychotropics, and then you don't know what's going to happen then. I choose not to do that. I choose not to take those things, but I choose to control my thoughts. Like I said, I had a little bit of a resource. I have Mrs. PTP to talk to. And the way that she looks at things is totally, I think she needs some mental help, but it's totally different than the way I look at things. But it's really something that keeps me in check when we talk. On the funny thing, on the way to the oncologist on when was it? when I did the 24-hour thing, was that Monday or whatever it was? Yeah. We were going back on Tuesday morning. And the drive there was like 2 hours long because of traffic. We had to be there at 9:30. And the traffic on the freeways in California is ridiculous. And I was just jabbering away about everything. Just talking about all kinds of shit. And she was just driving. And she said, you know what? You haven't talked in our entire relationship. You haven't talked this much in our entire relationship than you have today in this car. Because I feel like I can talk to her and unload on her about things that are on my mind. And it helps me. Right? It really helps me get through stuff. So I'm lucky to have that. And if people can do that with other family members, or even try and get to talk to somebody, even about what's going on in politics, it's always helpful to clear what's going on up in the old brain pan. You know? Pilled is my therapy. Exactly. Exactly. Henry, I don't worry. I really don't. I'm going to be okay. And I hear the Jersey accent. Yeah. And you see, this is my... Oh, Duppy, you don't even want to get on the freeway now. Trust me. This right here, what I do here, being on the live stream and talking to a couple of hundred people about my mental health or what I think and giving my opinions, this is my therapy. I'll tell you the honest to God's truth. The honest to God's truth. I was up this morning because I was in a shit ton of pain. I was up like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I came in the studio and I did all my show prep and all my stuff. And I went to go lay back down. And I did not want to get back up. I did not want to get back up. I'm being perfectly honest. 10 o'clock. I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, I don't even want to do this. I don't even want to get up. 10:10, 10:15, 10:20. I'm like, you know what? No. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do my show. And I did. And I brought myself in here. I sat down. I made myself a big ass cup of coffee in the few minutes I had. And I've been here now 2 hours. Because this is what's up here. This is what it tells me. You got to get up and do this stuff. Because this is what makes you feel better. And right now, I feel better. I feel better. I'm still in pain. I haven't taken any pain medication in 2 days. I'm still in pain, but I'm here. And I look at you guys' your comments. I read all your chats, and that's why I do this, because I love doing this, and it's like a therapy for me. And like Quiltanon says, I'm your therapy. You want to hear my rants and raves and all that crap, because I'm weird like that. So anyway, that's just something that a lot of people just don't want to discuss. They just don't want to discuss things like that. And I understand why, because look at what we did to John Fetterman. Right? Look at what we did to the guy. The guy had a stroke, got elected as a senator, and then went into a mental hospital because of depression. Shit happens. I'm not saying that the guy's not a turd bucket, but whatever. It's something that he's bringing awareness back to the country about mental problems. And a lot of people have them. Like Jim Bob said, a lot of people who go around shooting people are on all these drugs that they keep giving people for mental health, and there's a lot of better ways to do it. Oh, well, thank you, Jewel. I don't know if I try to inspire people with that, but I appreciate that. I like to give my opinion on crap. And I think that it's important that we understand that that is my opinion. And that since I've been diagnosed with all my stuff that's excuse me, that's going on, my opinions have changed. My way that I talk has changed. A lot of things have changed about me. And if I can inspire people to understand how that changed me, then that's what we take. So thank you for that. All right. Oh, geez. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly right, Jewel. And that's why I'm back doing what I'm doing. I'm not a drama person. I don't like drama. I don't like people who project drama. That's why when I was in the hospital, I watched but didn't comment. I watched a lot of people talk about me. Mostly positive. A lot of people talked positive, and I've never mentioned this since I've been back. I never mentioned this since I've been back because I'm not that type of person. I don't engage like I used to, and I attribute that to Mrs. PTP. She's changed me a lot. But I listened to hey Judy, thank you for the cookie. Welcome. Cookies! I've listened to a lot of people, particularly on the Pilled platform, with a lot of positive messages. A lot of positive messages, which made me feel good. Like I said, listening to people talk about me when I'm not even there. You know, I don't acknowledge that I'm in the chat or nothing. Just listening to somebody's show and sending a funny anecdote about me and say, I hope he's doing okay. We're praying for him. That helped me mentally, knowing that people were still thinking about me. All those months I was off. But then again, there were people who negatively talked about me, thinking that I was faking it. And saying it out on streams that I was just faking it. Those people are on my dead frequency. Okay, in my brain, I have a frequency where I hear people and I don't hear people. And there are certain people that I will not acknowledge ever again on this platform because they are bad for my mental health. They're bad for my mental health. And I can't, I won't mention any names because I'm not that type of drama person, right? I am the all-time best lurker, Duppy. I lurk a lot. A lot. You never know when I'm going to be in a chat because this is what I do now. Right? This is all I do now. So I'm taken up with I'm on Pilled all the time. So I'm watching a lot of people's shows. And yeah, I lurk a lot. So you know, you got to look out for what you're doing. That's all I'm saying. Oh, thank you, Joanne. And the people that how do I say this? The people that supported me and Mrs. PTP, not only by financial support, which I don't even know where to start with that, because you guys were absolutely fantastic about that. I mean, my illness came at a time when it was really bad financially for us. And you guys came through for the time that we needed it, for the most part. And I don't even know how to thank everybody. Qual for Life, welcome to you. Yeah, I'm a Jaws lurker. There you go. But the Black Mamba, I agree. That's why I say that those people that happened with, they're on my dead frequency. They're on a frequency that in my brain that doesn't exist anymore. Because I don't have any room for that negativity or that drama or the bullshit or whatever. If you have certain issues in your life that you have to deal with your mental acuity for doing what you do, don't project it onto me, because I ain't got time. I ain't got the energy. It's just the way that it is. It's just the way that it is. Duppy. That's right. So, and believe you me, Mrs. PTP wanted to do a lot worse to a lot of things, and I had to convince her. And I think Black Mamba, a lot. Hey, Brain Pod, what's happening? Appreciate that, man. Thank you. There's a lot of people who understand what Mrs. PTP wanted to do. But I kind of convinced her it's not worth it. I just do what I do it how I do it. Let everybody know how I feel, what's the truth, what's going on, and move forward. Give my opinions on everything that I do. Take the negative comments and the positive comments and do everything that I can and just be me for the time that I can do it, just to be me. I wish that I was smart enough to fake an illness. I really do, because I'm just not, because that's just not the person that I am. But it's just, when I heard somebody say that while I was at UCLA, laying in a bed, not being able to get up because I couldn't. I couldn't do it. I got so angry. And I remember Mrs. PTP calling me and telling me what was said. And I was like, I was there. I just heard it. It was just, anyway. What was that up there? Hold on a second. Was it those that said those negative things probably wouldn't know you if they saw you on the street? Probably not. Some would, absolutely. Some would, and a lot of people wouldn't. It was my decision, right? Yeah, Duppy, I agree. It was my decision. Sir Lurk a lot. I like that, 6%. to let everybody know what was going on. Me and Mrs. PTP talked about it before we even came back that night to do the show when I came home. It was my decision to talk about it. I could have said, you know what, I had to deal with some issues, but I'm back now, and moved on. But it was my decision to let everybody know the journey that I was going through, because there's a lot of other people that are going through. And I said this like the other day when Zombie 5 sent me a package with those V-neck t-shirts, because she understands the journey that we're going through. Her son is going through the same thing as I am. And to have this thing in my chest and have to pull my shirt down, this is what my collars look like. And she understands that. So she was gracious enough to send me V-neck t-shirts so I could access this, without taking my shirt off in the middle of the doctor's office. So that's why I chose to have people understand what I'm going through. And to have some other people throw shit on that, that's when they're turned off of my frequency. Beep. So, anyway, yeah, Judy, I understand. Yeah, I appreciate that. But, I consider the on Pilled to be, basically family. I'm just saying, it's just like, and you know what? I'll tell you something right now. My family, I don't talk to my family. They're on my dead frequency, right? My real family, my siblings are on my dead frequency. I talk to my children and I talk to April. That's it. Oh, and her mother. Yeah. That's it. And the rest of the people here, you're like my family. And I feel like in a certain way, yeah, my port. That's exactly what this is. Yeah, One Easy Money. It's my port that's right here. Yeah, up in my neck and goes down into my chest. It's exactly what it is. Like my real family, who did something so egregious to me that I totally blocked them out of my life. There's some people on this platform that I totally blocked out of my life because what was said and what was done was so egregious to me. And I attribute that to Mrs. PTP because she's changed me. She's made me a more kinder, more gentler person than I used to be. I think a lot of my anger issues projected onto her because she wanted to do a lot of damage. And I convinced her not to. But you guys are my family. It's close to a USB port. It's kind of funny. It's a needle that they put in that's like a hook, and they push it right into the port. There's like a little metal disc in there that they have to get into there, and the IV goes in there and it goes through my neck, and then it goes to the big vein right to my heart, and then gets pumped through my circulatory system. It's weird. It's but I really haven't talked about. I don't think, to tell you the truth, I've ever talked about how this affected me on Pilled. I don't think I did. I don't think I ever have discussed how angry I was. Right now, Jim Bob, I'm down to a 2X, and that's getting big on me. I used to wear a 4X. I lost 100 pounds, 101 pounds. I've gained a little bit back. I tried to eat a little bit more before my treatment started because they said I wasn't going to have that great of an appetite. So I'm down to a 2X, and it's a little large. But like what Fetterman said, you don't want to eat, you don't want to do, you're depressed, you don't want to eat, you don't want to do anything. And that's how it was for me in the hospital. Not only did the food suck, but I just didn't want to eat because I was staring at the damn walls all day. but I never how do you say I never voiced my anger at some of the shit that was said on that platform. I love Pilled. I love the people there. I love all you guys. Everybody, all you guys, just the support was just, like I said, I can never thank you guys enough. But there's always that group of people who are going to hate you no matter what, or are going to make life for you difficult, or say things that just are going to make you angry. And when I encountered that, it upset me a lot. And being in the situation I was in made it even worse. And if it wasn't for April talking me out of doing stupid shit, and me talking her out of doing stupid shit, and I'm sure that there's people in this chat right now on Pilled who talked to April on the phone that could confirm this. And things that were said about other people besides me and April just messed with my head. It's like, why would you say things or do things or when somebody's trying to be as open and honest and it's, you know, it's one of those things. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it because I'm just going to stop talking about it. But the moral of the story here is a lot of people have issues. You need to start acknowledging those issues and working them out. And if we can get help to do that without being doped up on some kind of antidepressants, this, that, or the other thing, you should take advantage of it. Miss 320, you have no idea. There's a lot of big egos on this platform, and that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of people who have big egos that have even bigger hearts. But there's also people who have big egos that don't know their ass from their elbow. I agree with that 100%. And that's why I said some of those people are on my dead frequency. So yeah, anyway. Yeah, exactly, Black Mamba. You all plan to kill me. That's okay. I understand. Duppy. That is a great fucking statement right there. That is a great fucking statement. You have to lose everything in order to see who your friends really are. That's fucking great statement. What's up, TikToks? What's going on, brother? All right, so let me do this since TikToks is up in the chizat. Let me do this. Tonight, I just got a message from Warrior in the Garden that he's not going to be there tonight because he has a friend who needs some help. So Warrior in the Garden won't be on the panel tonight, but we should have Spaz. Salty Nuts. I'm confused. Salty Nuts, I'm going to send him an invitation. And just to let you know, Mr. TikToks is going to be on the panel tonight. First time being on my show in a long time. So I'm looking forward to talking to him tonight, getting his views on stuff. He's still streaming on Pill, doing his games and all his stuff, which is really cool. But we're going to talk politics and all that bullshit. And then tonight, Thursday Night Throwdown, we're going to open up the panel to anybody who wants to come up and talk and ask questions and so on and so forth. So as long as you're not on the dead frequency, you're welcome. I'm just joking. Anyway, that's all the show I got for this morning. I appreciate everybody letting me rant and rave, because that's my therapy. You guys are my therapy. Love you guys. Everybody on the YouTube, the X, and the D Live, please make it over to pill.net. Go to the link in any of those platforms. Click on my profile. Go make yourself a profile on Pilled. Join the family over there. They're a bunch of great people. They will protect you against a lot of stuff. Trust me. Looking forward to tonight's show. Having everybody on. It's going to be fun. 6 o'clock right here on the PTP podcast with your host, PTP, for Thursday Night Throwdown. I can come on a different night. Okay. Yeah, we'll work something out, Duppy, if you want to come on. No worries. All right, guys. I will see everybody tonight. Thank you on the YouTube, the D Live, the X, and of course, my home base with all my family, pill.net. Got nothing but love for you guys. And I thank the Mats for putting it together and all that stuff. So until tonight, make sure you're here. It's going to be fun. We always have fun with panel shows. Those are always great. And thank you guys for all the gold pills, red pills, and possibly blue pills. We'll see you tonight. Have a good one. Bye-bye.